What's up, Magic Nerds? We have some spicy spoilers from the new Murders at Karlov Manor set. Looks like Commander is about to get a lot more interesting with these ones. First, we have to mention Archdruid's Charm. The successor to Archmage's Charm brings mono green a powerhouse instant. It does everything green wants to do. It gives us options to find lands and creatures or deal with our opponent's permanents. This card fits perfectly with a new mono green commander I talked about in my latest video, link in the description. It is likely to be a great piece in some mono-colored and dual-colored decks that have a flexible instant spot. Next up, we've got Aurelia, the Law Above. She's got Flying, Vigilance, and Haste on a 4/4 body. She draws us cards whenever any player attacks with 3 or more creatures. And whenever a player attacks with 5 creatures, she pings each of our opponents for 3 and gains us 3 life. This one is an incredible Boros commander. Boros has always struggled with card draw, so it's good to see we are finally getting more options for commanders that help us out in that regard. She incentivizes large armies so we can throw in some classics like Assemble the Legion and Entreat the Angels to pump out lots of tokens quickly. Giving her protection will be a good idea not only for her card draw effect, but the fact that she is a flying 4/4 with Vigilance is something we should definitely use to our advantage. Next up, we have Judith, Carnage Connoisseur. She is a Rakdos 5-drop that reads, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, choose one. That spell gains Death Touch and Lifelink. Or create a 2/2 red imp creature token with, when this creature dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. Spellslinger with black and red has almost always included blue, so the fact that we have a pure Rakdos option is nice. And her effect is actually pretty strong. We have many spells we can use to ping creatures for 1 damage that kill them due to the Death Touch, and we can also go wide with 2/2 imps. Teysa is making an appearance in this set as a Clues Matter commander. She creates us clues at our end step, and creates spirits when we sack clues. This is an interesting combination of clues and spirits into one deck. We can focus on her clue theme, or we can focus more on Spirit Tribal since she will be investigating for us when we deal damage to our opponents anyway. We've got another Orzhov 3-drop commander with Tomic, Wielder of Law. He has affinity for planeswalkers and disincentivizes swinging at us or our planeswalkers with 2 or more creatures. This deck will have to be built with plenty of versatility, as there are plenty of decks out there that won't be swinging at us right away with 2 creatures, or at all. Card draw and blockers will help us achieve our goal of getting off some sweet ults from our planeswalkers. This new version of Trostani looks interesting. Trostani, 3 Whispers, gives us several options for combat tricks, and they can target our opponent's creatures too. We can use this for some fun interactions in multiplayer situations. By giving creatures swinging at our opponent's Death Touch or Double Strike, we can force players into tough decisions for blockers and damage. We will of course also get to pack our deck with some big beaters that can do well on their own, but are absolutely lethal with Double Strike. Voja, Jaws of the Conclave gives us a fantastic option as a Wolves and Elves tribal commander, and this one has me absolutely excited. Voja's 5/5 body with Vigilance, Trample, and Ward 3 is already great for 5 mana. But by the time we are swinging with him, we likely have a couple of Elves and Wolves on the battlefield, so our entire board is getting counters, and we are drawing cards for insane value. Now here's a tribe that needs more support. We have Anzrag, the Quake Mole. He is a 4-drop Gruul Mole god that reads, whenever Anzrag the Quake Mole becomes blocked, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there is an additional combat phase, and 3 colorless, 2 red and 2 green. Anzrag must be blocked each combat this turn if able. Your opponents are going to want to block 8 damage, especially if he is your commander, so we won't have trouble triggering his ability. He even gives us a way to pay mana to force opponents to block him. We can go wide, or we can just have a few giant creatures including Anzrag. Either way, we are likely going to be swinging multiple times a turn. If we give him Indestructible and Trample, it's GG. An 8/4 body for 4 mana with no drawbacks is absolutely busted. In this set, we've got a new version of Massacre Girl. She has Menace and gives our creatures Wither, which puts -1/-1 counters on creatures instead of damage. She also reads, Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies if its toughness was less than 1, draw a card. This is an interesting combination of effects. We'll be able to trigger her card draw ability with cards like Black Sun's Zenith, Toxic Deluge, and Yawgmoth. We are going to be absolutely wiping the board quite a bit, so recursion is going to be key in this deck. Vannifar Evolved Enigma is our next spoiler, and she's got some potential for a couple different strategies. She has a new ability called Cloak, which puts a card from our hand face down onto the battlefield as a 2/2 with Ward 2. We can turn a cloaked card face up for its mana cost if it's a creature. She also can put +1/+1 counters on colorless creatures we control, which includes cloaked, manifested, and morphed creatures. We can cloak these creatures and start putting counters on them, and if we have cards like Hangerback Walker and Walking Ballista, the counters we put on them can go to good use. I personally think she is begging to be an artifact creature deck. Subscribe and join us next time for more Commander Brews.